have good news. The remaining cards, I think it should be the remaining cards for the Terastal Festival Master Set that we're putting together for the Fan Clan should arrive today. They are out for delivery, so hopefully tomorrow. Make sure you come back tomorrow. That will be the video that you want to pay attention to if you want to win an entire Master Set of Terastal Festival. Every single set release, we give away a master set to one lucky subscriber, and we don't usually do it for Japanese, but I am really nervous about Prismatic Evolutions. All of the cards in this set have me very concerned, because we're still going to do a master set giveaway, but I wanted to properly prepare for the release of Prismatic Evolution. So, to do so, and to celebrate the holiday season, Fanny Claus, I want to give away a master set of Terastal Festival. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit that subscribe button down below if you're not already, and then make sure you come back tomorrow. That should give you the information you need to enter to win a master set of Terastal Festival. We're going to talk about a different specialty set from Pokemon. This one, it's kind of weird because I wasn't expecting this. When I was looking at numbers and putting together this presentation, I was like, this set is just crushing it. But in the back of my mind, I was like, this set doesn't seem like there's a lot of it out there. It never really seemed like there was a lot of it out there. And we're going to talk about Paldean Fates. So you can let me know in the comments section down below what you think of Paldean Fates. It's a very interesting set because there are so many hits in the set, right? But the majority of them are made up of those baby shinies and full art shinies, which are fairly easy to pull. But then there's a handful of special illustration rares that are doing fairly well. There's a handful of baby shinies that are doing well. But really the sealed product in general is just absolutely killing it. And there's a lot of sealed product that's going up and up and up. And obviously this is the third set release for these shiny sets, if you so want to call them that. We had Hidden Fates that came out several years ago. That was an absolute trip. Everybody loved Hidden Fates when it was originally released. It was really our first experience with scalping in Pokemon trading cards. Like, there were people who would go to Walmart, buy out the Hidden Fates Elite Trainer boxes, and then resell them. This was before the pandemic. This was before the giant boom. So this was just kind of normal demand, but the demand was so high for it that people were kind of taking advantage. And then we had that Hidden Fates restock, but then we had Shining Fates, which a lot of people, that came out during the like middle of the pandemic when Pokemon cards were at their height. Like, it was just absolute madness, and pre-orders were happening for Shining Fates where storefronts were taking advantage of the system and they were selling stuff for double, triple MSRP, despite the fact that there was a lot that was printed. They were kind of just like throwing random prices out there, and since the demand for Pokemon at that time was so high, people were lining up at Target, at Walmart to try and get their hands on some Shining Fates product, and it didn't do too well. It didn't do too well, I think, because Pokemon was like, well, take this, we're gonna just print the absolute heck out of this set. And they actually put out a support ticket that said, hey, we understand that people aren't getting their items, so here's a bunch of them, here's a lot more, there's going to be a ton more Shining Fates coming, so everybody will have the opportunity. And now you kind of see Shining Fates start to rise a little bit, especially the Elite Trainer box starting to go up a little bit because it is well out of its reprint cycle now, well out of the reprint window, if you want to call it that. And really because it was more at the beginning of the Sword and Shield era, now that we're so far removed from that, you're not seeing it pop up as much. It's kind of past its shelf life in big box retailers. There's some times where you still find it out there at like Walmart, but for the most part, it is dissipated. And then they released Paldean Fates, which was somewhat exciting for some people. The full art shinies, obviously the baby shinies, very exciting for a lot of people, but some of the special illustration rares were absolutely slapping. We're going to look at the pull rate data quick for Paldean Fates, which was very, very strong, despite the fact that it came out right around the time when Pokemon was changing pull rates. So Pokemon changed pull rates after Obsidian Flames with the release of Paradox Rift, and you really start seeing this set right here start give you a little bit better of an idea of what pull rates are going to look like in the future, because it's very closely related to that of Paradox Rift. And then we had Temporal Forces release, and forget about it. Then you're looking at special illustration rares being 1 out of every 2 booster boxes, as opposed to like 1.5 out of every single booster box. It was absolutely insane. But if you look at the bottom down there, 1 out of 46 packs, so a little bit more difficult to pull the special illustration rares in the set. You also have to remember there's only a handful of special illustration rares in the set, right? There's a few Pokemon cards, and there's a few full art trainers that are special illustration rares. That's pretty much it. So not a very big set when it comes to those upper rarity cards. Same thing with the illustration rares. There's only 3 in the set. So you just have the Palafin, you just have the Palmy, and you just have whatever that other one is, and that's it. So that's why why pull rates staying the same with illustration rares, 1 out of every 12, every 13 packs. That's why you get so many of them, because basically every Elite Trainer box is going to have one, and you're going to pull duplicates, triplicates a lot, because the amount of different types of illustration rares is so small. So other than that, very, very strong pull rates. You're getting about 6 hits out of every single Elite Trainer box that you open up. 1 out of every double rares, 1 out of every 6.81 packs. Illustration rares, again, 1 out of every 13 packs. Ultra rares, 1 out of every about 13 packs. Your baby shinies, 3.74 packs. So every 4, you should get 2 basically per Elite Trainer box. But very similar to what we saw with Shining Fates and Hidden Fates. And your full art shiny, 1 out of every 13.5 packs, which is actually a little bit worse. So a lot of people have talked about Prismatic Evolutions pull rates and what they expect. This is what I'm trying to compare it to, and this is what I'm hoping for. And I know it would be wonderful if it did go to Crown Zenith pull rates. That would be great. And you can let me know in the comment section down below what you think pull rates will be like. However, the Galarian Gallery in Crown Zenith was so vast and so abundant. You're looking at roughly 70 cards in the Galarian Gallery. You're going to pull those a lot more frequently than you're going to pull a special illustration rare from Prismatic Evolutions. At least that's my own opinion. That's my opinion. You only have like, what, 31 or so? I say only. That's still a lot. 31 special illustration or something like that. And I'm hoping that the Master Ball kind of lines up with what we get out of the baby shinies, which is 1 out of every 4 packs. So basically every Elite Trainer box you open up of Prismatic Evolutions, I'm hoping you'll get a special illustration rare, and you will get like 2 Master Balls. That's my hope. I don't know if that's going to be accurate. I just hope it's not pull rates for special illustration rares like what we're looking at here, which is 1 out of 46 packs, or what we're looking at in even like Paradox Rift or Scarlet and Violet 151, where it's 1 out of like 36 packs. Definitely not like Temporal Forces and Twilight Masquerade, Stellar Crown, Surging Sparks, where it's basically 1 out of every 72 packs. I don't want that at all. So very strong set. You get a hit in basically every single 2 packs, which is really good. It's a lot of fun to open. Here's the Elite Trainer box right here. And the reason I wanted to talk about Paldean Fates is because as somebody who has access to distribution, I am very blessed, very lucky, obviously, to own a storefront. You can check out thecardcoliseum.com for all your English needs. You can check out CarossioShop.com for all your Japanese needs. All of that, those links are in the description down below. So I've been communicating with distributors for a long time. There's a lot of misinformation that goes around when it comes to distribution. And the other thing that is very important to remember is I have 3 different distributors that I work with. There are a lot of other distributors that are in existence. So none of them are the same. All of them have different allocations from Pokemon. All of them have different in-stock lists. All of them have different pricing models. There is not one standard that they need to live up to that Pokemon kind of throws down to them. So it's really important. So what you might see on one channel, like, hey, I talked to my distributor and they're never going to reprint Surging Sparks, that's not necessarily true. There are other distributors out there that are going to have different information, that are going to have better information, that are going to have more up-to-date information. They will get the same pretty much stock, but for the most part, how they handle things is going to be very different. So it's just important to be careful out there with what you listen to. Paldean Fates, I can say that after it released, there was very small amounts of Elite Trainer box that kind of stayed in. So Pokemon basically takes in orders from distributors and they say, how much of Paldean Fates do you want? And every distributor says, I want this amount. I want 800 cases, or I want 8,000 cases or something, so that way I can feed into my LGS stores. And Pokemon will be like, okay, well, we can give you this much. We'll give you 6,000 of the 8,000 cases that you requested. And then those distributors will properly divvy up those allocations to storefronts. So they will look at all the storefronts and be like, okay, we're getting 75%, so then we will just give everybody 75% of what they requested or what they ordered. And we'll hold some back in case there's any shipping problems, or we'll hold some back for other reasons, a variety of reasons. But Paldean Fates, for example, after they separated their allocations and after they shipped everything out, there was not a whole lot that was left over. I think that I had 2 distributors, 2 of the 3, who had some in stock still after release, and then 1 distributor who still had Elite Trainer boxes in stock like a month after release, albeit they were marked up a little bit, and that was pretty much it. After that, there wasn't really any more Elite Trainer boxes in stock. There are other products, other ancillary products, which we'll look at in a minute here, but for the most part, the Elite Trainer boxes were kind of eaten up, and there was enough supply to meet demand, and because of that, these Elite Trainer boxes were hovering right around $40, $41, somewhere around there. You can see its low point in August, where it was down to $40.82. It was very consistently at that point. So release right around July and stayed around $40 for the next couple months before going going up a little bit in October. Still not enough to put it up to MSRP, right? Like it only went up to about $45, $46 in October. So the first 4 months of release, it stayed really close to MSRP or below MSRP because there was enough to meet demand, and people were kind of looking forward to Surging Sparks or to other sets that might be releasing that they wanted to kind of spend their money on, spend their Pokemon collecting dollars on. Because of that, Paldean Fates kind of fell under the radar, and there wasn't enough where Pokemon was like, okay, well, we need to reprint this set, or we need to restock this set, or we need to figure out a way to get more of this out there, because it seemed like there was enough to kind of meet demand. And now all of a sudden that we've got this giant uptick in popularity, in hype, in demand, Paldean Fates has been eaten up a lot, and you can see a lot of sales happening over the last month or so. As more and more Pokemon card collectors come back into the hobby, there's a lot more sales that are happening, and because of that, all of a sudden it's jumped up almost 67% over the last 6 months. It's currently sitting at $68.67. So it went from in October being below MSRP to 2 months later being well above MSRP, being $18 above MSRP in the blink of an eye. And there's not any right now currently to restock. So there's no more at the warehouse in Bellevue or any of the Pokemon card warehouses where distributors will order them from. That's not to say there's not more, in marketing companies' warehouses or MJ Holdings or someplace like that might be stocking big box retailers. But right now, for storefronts to order a lot of these, it's just difficult right now. So that's not to say they won't reprint and they won't put more out there. But because of this, the demand has really impacted the supply, and it's jumped up quite a bit. The Elite Trainer box from the Pokemon Center exclusive. This is always a fun one to look at because Pokemon Center exclusive products do extremely well, even though they come in and out of stock every once in a while. Because they are exclusive, they are always in demand, and it's always interesting because once you open this up, right, the stamp inside, the stamped promo card inside always does extremely well. But once you open this up, you take one of those exclusive products out of existence, and you fill an exclusive promo into existence. So you cannot go back to a sealed product. You can only fulfill a new stamped promo that kind of exists all of a sudden. And because of that, every time one of these gets opened, it diminishes the supply a little bit more, and the demand is there since it doesn't stay in stock because it is more of an exclusive item. And like all other products, there is a shelf life of these. There is a reprint window that happens with these. So even though we had a lot of Sword and Shield reprinted Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes that kind of came out over the past several months, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen with a lot of the Scarlet and Violet ones. And because of that, you see a giant increase in a lot of these, even on the secondary market. So you see the Paldean Fates one right here from July, again, all the way up to October, very, very flat. Fell down to about $67.39. And now over the last couple months, it's jumped up about 114%. So it's sitting at a 6-month high, $150.67 right now, and continuing to climb. Here is that promo that we were talking about. This is the Mimikyu, and the only thing that's really separating this from a normal promo is this stamp right down here, which is absolutely insane. Just a stamp right here makes all the difference in the world. This was basically a $5.29 card on release because people were starting to open up their product, but as you had less and less being opened and the supply started getting eaten up, you can see still fairly consistent as far as sales go. We saw a lot of these Pokemon Center exclusive stamped cards really start increasing. This card jumped up almost 700% over the last 6 months. So yeah, not a super expensive card, fairly expensive, right, at $42.57. But if you look at where it was at $5 6 months ago. Now it's sitting at $42.57, which is absolutely insane. Just off of its 1-year high currently, $42.27 is where it's currently sitting. Absolutely nuts. Here's the booster bundle from Paldean Fates. This one has also gone up quite a bit, up about 50% over the past 6 months, with most of that damage happening really since the beginning of October. It was trending down a little bit. It hit $25.11 in October. That's just below MSRP, and then it just started to skyrocket. And you can see consistent sales pretty much since August, but as less and less of this is in the market, and this is again a product that you can't really get from distribution anymore, it has shot up because we haven't been able to replace the products that are being sold. So it jumped all the way up to $48.21. It's sitting at $47.66 right now, up about 49% over the past 6 months, doing really well. Here's the big one of the tins. There's 3 different tins. This is the Charizard variant right here. A lot of people were ordering exclusively this from the PokemonCenter.com. This one was always a little bit above MSRP, even when the set originally came out. But you can see, again, very consistent sales. But because you have to order this as a storefront in a box of 6, in a case of 6, you have to take all of them. So you can't just take the Charizard variant. Distributors aren't going to let you do that. You have to take the Great Tusk one as well, or the whatever the other one is. I can't even remember. The Great Tusk one as well. You definitely have to take that one. But you can't just order the Charizard one. You have to take all 3 of them. You can only order them in sets of 3. And because of that, the Charizard one being the most popular one from a customer standpoint, It's exploded in price because the supply isn't keeping up with demand. It's gone up, trending up slowly from August of 2024. That's when it was at its 6-month low of $37.34. As you can see, in October, hit about $40, and then it took the next step forward. So it's jumped up almost 48%. It hit $58.71. It's sitting at $57.57 right now. Same contents inside. The only difference is the promo card, that full art Terra Charizard on the outside. So doing extremely well. Here's the booster pack of Paldean Fates. Again, not as many on the market right now. You can still get some sealed product from distributor, but for the most part, it's fairly limited. In August of 2024, is selling right around MSRP at $4.57. But you can see it jumped up a lot in December. Almost 42% it's gained over the past 6 months. It did climb all the way up to $7.72. Now it's sitting at $7.22. But this is going to be a popular set for a long time because people are going to want to chase that Charizard. They are going to want to chase that Bubble Mew. And those have made a lot of noise. As you can see, this Bubble Mew, obviously it's backed off a little bit. And you can see demand starting to diminish a little bit. So the quantity of sales that are happening on a weekly basis fairly consistent in January, and then in May it kind of slowed down a little bit all the way up until September, and then it jumped up a little bit again, and then the price wasn't able to keep up with it, or the supply wasn't able to keep up with it, and because of that it jumped up to $267.81 right now, which is just off of its 1-year high of $305.08, but way ahead. It was at $82 for a while, hovering right around $82. You can see from basically April of 2024 all the way up until September of 2024, and then started slowing down on sales a little bit because it started pricing out people in the hobby a little bit. But people are going to want to chase this card for a while, and that's why you're starting to see those pack prices also inch up. Same thing with the Charizard EX over the last 6 months. This has grown about 39%. You can see in September, October, it hit that 1 year or that 6-month low of 102.92, and then started increasing in sales a little bit, and supply wasn't able to keep up. So because of that, it jumped up to 162.98 as a 6-month high. It's backed off very little, sitting at 161.48 right now, continuing to trend upward. Same thing with the Gardevoir, which is another special illustration rare in the set. In October of 2024, it was sitting at 38.71. That was its 6-month low, and then it gained a lot of ground as we started seeing some of these other Paldean Fates special illustration rares shoot up in price. People were kind of fearing, okay, well, what if this happens to the Gardevoir? Let me get it while it's a little bit cheaper. And because that was the thought process of a lot of people, started increasing in price a little bit, jumped up to 63.89, so it's sitting at a 6-month high right now. Here's the baby shiny Pikachu from the set, the most expensive of all the baby shinies in Paldean Fates. This was on a downward spiral for quite some time until we hit December of 2024. Now, the reason behind this, because we had that Black Friday deal on TCG Player where you got cash back pretty much that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and a lot of copies. You can see the amount of copies of this card that sold. Again, more attention being paid to Paldean Fates because of what happened to some of those other special illustration rares. So people were probably like, hey, I want to get this at $25 or $30 before it shoots up in price in case it does. Still down about 4.5% over the past 6 months, but it's much closer to its 1-year high, or to its 6-month high. It's sitting at $34.91 right now, just off of that $36.59 mark. Now, it could come back down a little bit because you can see the demand isn't there for this card as much as it is for others, but it'll be interesting to watch what happens with that one. The Mew EX has done really well. This is a very competitive card for sure, but also a very popular card because of the artwork. People like the shiny Mew. In July of 2024, it was sitting at $6.35, and it's trended upward quite a bit with consistency in sales. So even at higher price points, the demand is still there. It jumped up to $12.24 recently. It's backed off to $11.71, but still up about 65% over the past 6 months. The baby shiny Charmander also growing very well over the last several months. Very consistent as far as sales go. It did droop off a little bit over the last month or so as the price has gotten a little bit more expensive. But in July of 2024, it was sitting at $21.64. It has now jumped up to $26.09, which is just off of its 6-month high. It's up about 20.5% right now. And then the last one, I think this is the last one. No, we got 2 more. So the Snorlax baby shiny. There's a lot of baby shinies in the set. Baby shinies end up being a little bit more difficult to pull than all the special illustration rares because of the variance factor. So even though you pull a baby shiny every 4 or 5 packs, since there are so many of them, to pull a specific unique one like that Pikachu, for example, it's going to be more difficult to pull that specific Pikachu than it is going to be to pull that Gardevoir special illustration rare, or even that Bubble Mew, because of the variance factor. So in October of 2024, this was sitting at $10.66. It's jumped up quite a bit as demand has also jumped up. It's jumped up about 25.5%. So it's sitting at $17.44 right now, which is just off of its 6-month high of $17.94. And then the Ditto doing the same thing as demand has continued for this one, even at higher price points. In September of 2024, it was at $7.17. It's only up about 4% over the last 6 months, but up a lot more than that over the last 3 months. So just off of its 6-month high of $10.27, it's It's sitting at 1013 currently and doing extremely well. So you can let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Paldean Fates. If you're still seeing it when you're out and about, maybe you own a storefront, you can let me know. Does your distributor have a lot of Paldean Fates products in stock? The only one that I work with out of the 3 that still has some in stock is really the tech sticker collections, and that's it. Everything else is pretty much gone, which is very interesting to look at. That doesn't necessarily mean there won't be a restock in the future, but as of right now, very slim pickings to try and get any more Paldean Fates in stock, which is very interesting. So I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. It goes a really long way for the algorithm, but ultimately, hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas yesterday. I hope you continue to enjoy your holiday season. Thank you so much for everything. I love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with a Master Set video. Until next time, peace!